Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Griffin here, and I hope you're all having a great Monday. Now, last week the stock market closed in the green pretty much market-wide, especially though for electric vehicle stocks. I'm looking at Tesla up 7.84%, and I'm looking at NIO up 8.55%, which, man, these are some staggering gains for both of these electric vehicle stocks, both of which reached new all-time highs. NIO closed at $58.92 last Friday, up that 8.55%, bringing it once again to the all-time high. And now fast forward to Monday morning pre-market on January the 11th, NIO is up 10.54% pre-market, which demonstrates further investor optimism following the information that we're going to be covering in today's video. Now keep in mind that pre-market price points as well as just the overall stock price once the markets open could vary greatly today, but regardless, this really demonstrates investor optimism towards the information that was released on NIO Day, which happened to be last Saturday on January the 9th. This came with lots of new information about NIO regarding a new vehicle, as well as other relevant information regarding batteries, battery as a service, and a bunch of other information that I absolutely wanted to cover in today's video for you, as most of you may actually be holding some NIO stock since I covered this stock in this video right here, which did tremendously well on the channel. Honestly, for a lot of investors, I think that the price movements of these EV stocks are perceived as being extremely unrealistic, hard to wrap our heads around, and downright unjustified based on current company financials as well as current output capacity and production capacity in these companies' factories to get enough vehicles out in the public in order to justify the price points. But what's happening with electric vehicle stocks, along with some other industries that are really gaining momentum in the current market environment that we're living through, is a much larger focus from investors on forward-looking information, including things such as forward-looking total addressable market and innovation over, say, the company's past financials and traditional valuation metrics. Now, this doesn't mean that we need to completely throw fundamental analysis out the window, of course not, but when it comes to analyzing a company like a Tesla, like a NIO, and other really innovative and forward-looking industries, it's hard to use these traditional valuation metrics to quantify a current market value for these stocks. I see on multiple different stock websites that a more justified price point for Tesla stock, for example, would be in the $100 to $200 range, but the reality is that that is just not going to happen. We're not going to see Tesla drop back down to the $200 range. Now, could we see a pretty steep market correction for these EV stocks specifically? That's definitely on the table, but the point being here that with certain industries like EV and massive consumer trends that are going to shift the way we live on a day-to-day basis, these are really important to take into consideration when assessing the potential for a given company. Anyways, while you're watching this video, make sure to let me know down in the comments which elements that we're going to be covering here you enjoyed the most out of NIO Day and you think are going to have the most impact on the company moving forward. Let's get right into the video. If you do need to still open up a brokerage account though, make sure to check out the link down in the description to open up a Wealthsimple trade account. You'll get $25 for a limited time instead of the $10 traditional sign up bonus if you use the link down below. So with that said, let's get right into it. Alright, so NIO stock, this was one of the most spoken about stocks over the course of 2020. Some would even consider it to be a hype stock or whatnot, but regardless, this is a company that operates in the electric vehicle industry, which is one of the hottest and most innovative industries that we're speaking about right now. There's no denying that it's bringing extreme innovation and disruption to the auto manufacturing industry, and with so many countries starting to actually implement plans for the future ban on sales of combustion vehicles, investors and consumers are starting to really wake up to these new realities and where we're heading as a society. Now, regarding NIO stock price though, it's actually quite interesting because in that past video I made titled NIO to $100, I had mentioned that considering the hockey stick run up that we were experiencing for the stock, we'd most likely see a consolidation before a further longer term price appreciation, which is only natural for a company that's seen this type of price movement in their stock. This is especially true in today's stock market environment where short-term price fluctuations for a stock really only depend on emotion as well as information that's coming out about the company and how investors are perceiving this information in relation to the company and their stock. With that said, I did have some people roasting me in the comments saying, you know, why in the world would I wait for the stock to consolidate down a bit if I do believe in the company longer term anyways? Really, what would this matter in the longer picture if I do believe that the company is going to be extremely influential and the stock price is going to do well over time? And there is definitely some truth to that. Once I did release that video, the stock continued to climb roughly 20% before indeed coming back down though to the $44 $40 per share range, where I decided to make a larger entry. All that to say that in today's current market environment, we often see dramatic price rallies that take place over the course of only a couple months, followed by a temporary price consolidation as investors take profits on their investments and trades. So yeah, after the price consolidation for NIO, which did happen a little bit later than I had initially anticipated, I decided that I would get in at around $3,000 worth of stock in the $44 per share range, which is still a little bit higher than I would have actually wanted to get in on. But regardless, since then, the stock has appreciated by roughly 31% at the time of filming this video. Now, of course, this growth is absolutely nothing compared to other NIO investors who are looking at 3, 4, even 500% return on investment. But regardless, a 31% increase in such a short time frame is a phenomenal return by any metric. And the news that was released on NIO Day further bolsters my views on this company succeeding long term and their stock well exceeding the $100 threshold that I had spoken about in my previous NIO video. This is why now at a cost basis for NIO stock in the lower $40 range, I see a longer term hold as a viable option. With that said, let's actually speak about some of the news that was released on NIO Day. First and foremost, let's speak about arguably the most important news that the company unveiled, which was their new all-electric sedan called the ET7, which apparently is roughly the size of a Tesla Model S and will be therefore a direct competitor, especially considering the price point. So this ET7 car apparently has soft closing doors, air filtration, and acoustic glass for a quieter ride, and what's even more impressive is the 625-mile range this car claims to have with their most advanced battery options, 625 horsepower, and even air suspension. If you aren't too familiar with NIO, by the way, this is a Chinese-owned electric vehicle manufacturer that's targeted more of the high-end and luxury vehicle market, right? So these are not $25,000 cars. The ET7 has a sticker price of around $84,000 US. So for the time being, NIO is still definitely considered to be a luxury vehicle manufacturer, but at least right now, the ET7 is going to come forward as being a viable competitor for Tesla's Model S, which in China could very well make a large dent in Model S sales, especially considering the fact that recently the Chinese government was speaking about incentives for EV vehicles to be favorable towards, first of all, Chinese-made manufacturers, but then also electric vehicles that have swappable batteries, which Tesla does not currently offer, but NIO is offering in their vehicles. Truth be told though, if NIO really does want to take over the Chinese electric vehicle market, they're really going to have to come out with a cheaper vehicle that is going to be a direct competitor to Tesla's Model 3, that is going to be therefore more accessible to a wider audience because the price point will be much lower. The second exciting point that was announced on NIO Day was the full self-driving capabilities that the ET7 will be capable of using a LiDAR system. So, full self-driving, this is something that we've already seen with Tesla, but even up to this point, these companies have yet to 100% master complete autonomous driving, and regardless of what Tesla is doing, it's nice to see NIO venturing on into the self-driving arena, which is going to be necessary for further competitive advantage. Now, one thing that NIO is claiming that they're going to offer and do differently than Tesla is offering their full self-driving capabilities as a subscription model instead of a one-time sunk fee like Tesla currently only offers. And to be honest, even though Tesla could very easily just switch over their full self-driving capability to a subscription model instead of this one-time fee thing that they're doing right now, I think that this is genius on NIO's part and is going to make their full self-driving capabilities more accessible to a wider audience. As of right now, if you own a Tesla vehicle and you want to upgrade to the full self-driving capabilities, this is an extra $10,600 Canadian, and I would know because I own a Tesla Model 3, but there was no way I was spending an extra $11,000 above a sticker price that, in my opinion, is already a luxury vehicle price point. However, had this been on a subscription model where it was, say, $50 a month or something, this would make it a lot more attractive and enticing, I think, for myself and other users. Moving on, one of the main elements that NIO also focused on over NIO Day was their focus on the battery swap technology for their cars. In fact, they announced that to date, they have successfully completed 1.5 million battery swaps and counting. In a country like China with a dense population and dense infrastructures, I would tend to think that it's normal for this type of service to work better over there than, say, in Canada or the US, where everything is way more spread out, and other than in really large cities, population density is much more scarce. What's also nice about this battery swap system is that it also allows the actual vehicle's MSRP to be lower, which could be huge for many consumers who might be at the edge of what they're looking to afford for a new vehicle, and that could really push them into a new NIO vehicle over, say, another manufacturer. Finally, for NIO's batteries, an element I spoke about in my previous NIO video that I've been thinking about and honestly really like for NIO's model is their battery as a service model that they're going to be offering to pretty much any of their customers, because you can actually swap out the batteries in the vehicle. Now, some people had mentioned that Tesla's had this technology for years now and they've chosen to move away from it, but regardless of that, I think that this really works for NIO specifically, that's targeting the Chinese market with a much denser population in these larger cities. The reason I really like this for NIO's business model is that they're going to be increasing their future cash flows. So instead of only making money on the day of the sale of their vehicle, they will be making a certain amount of money on the day of the sale, but then they're also going to be incurring more revenue moving forward on a subscription model that could be on a month-to-month basis or whenever a customer chooses to actually upgrade their battery. Because a customer could think, hey, I've had this battery for, say, a couple of years, let me upgrade to a longer range battery, a more performant battery, whatever it might be. This offers future cash flows for NIO that they otherwise would maybe have missed out on. So the way I see this is that it's really a win-win for both NIO as a company in terms of increasing their revenue streams and their cash flows moving forward, and then it's also a win for the customer because if they so choose, they can upgrade their batteries to the latest technology and feel like they have the latest vehicle, even though potentially they purchased the vehicle years back. Alright, so that pretty well wraps up the main elements that I wanted to speak about that came out of NIO Day. Personally, as a NIO shareholder, I'm really happy with this information, and I think it's going to help the company continue to improve their production as well as their income moving forward and really just secure themselves as being a market leader in the Chinese EV market. Now, that's not to say though that we're not going to see a pullback in NIO stock price on a shorter term basis, but regardless, at this point now I am holding on for the longer term and I don't really plan on selling because I think the stock is really going to reflect what's going on in terms of the company's growth over the coming years. Do keep in mind though that most NIO run-ups have been met with a pullback. What we're seeing right now may be the same, but we're just gonna have to wait and see how the stock plays out over the course of this week and next. That wraps up today's video on NIO Stock and NIO Day. I really hope you enjoyed it. You know what to do. Make sure to smash the like button if you enjoyed today's video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button if you want to be notified whenever I release new and upcoming investing content. And also make sure to check out the links down below to all the resources that I use and recommend for my own investing. So on that note, thanks a lot for watching today's video and I'll see you in the next one.